Hello everyone, this is Tony. Welcome back to Trophy Travel Experiences. Today I'm doing just a summary of the number of videos that have appeared on this channel and also my other channel, Trophy Food Experiences, about my trip to Singapore and just tips and best attractions there. Firstly, some general comments about Singapore. I found it really clean. The people are really polite. And so I think it's an easy country to go to. I didn't find anything difficult about the country. I was a little bit wary about kind of entering the country because I know they're very strict about things. But in fact, I had nothing to worry about. They have a SG card or that you have to, a landing card that you have to fill out. That's very standard among any country that you visit. The immigration process was very quick. They're very efficient people. So I had no problems at all. Some kind of tips that I would have in general. I had the assumption that everyone in Singapore speaks English fluently like we do in North America. I don't think that's quite the case. The level of English is quite high in Singapore, but I wouldn't say that's everyone. In the tourist places they do. They do have quite a distinct accent. So, and they also talk quickly. So sometimes, at least for me, it's difficult to understand. So you might want to ask them to slow down a little bit sometimes, just because, at least for me, I'm not familiar with their accent. They're quite a modern society in terms that they have all the bells and whistles of technology, but not everyone uses them to this fullest. So, you can expect that. One thing that I actually was learned that actually, how in North America, usually you'd line up to the right, let's say an escalator or stairs, you walk to the right if you are kind of slower, and then the passing lane or the fast lane is the left. It's actually opposite in Singapore. So they actually line up on the left, and then they the kind of speed lane or the through lane is on the right on escalators. And so that was kind of neat to see, because that's how you could tell actually who were tourists and who were like kind of people that actually were from Singapore. Again, quite a modern society. So the other thing is that what I found, there was a lot on paper. So I was surprised that some of the hotels, they really didn't have maps. Like, we actually asked for maps. There wasn't a lot. There was a lot online. That being said, because Singapore is kind of a tightly knit community, sometimes they just assume everyone actually is there that is kind of knows what you're saying. So you do have to explain to them sometimes that you're a tourist. I don't know what you're talking about when you say, oh, just go towards Marina Bay Sands or Suntec City. It's like, so sometimes they make the assumption, perhaps because I was Asian, that I kind of knew where everything was. And so sometimes you have to stop them and say, listen, actually I'm a tourist. I have no idea where this is in the whole relation to things. Singapore is a city where you can find very inexpensive food, but you can also find very expensive food. And so you can get both extremes of things. I will say that I did go to the hawker centers. The hawker centers have a lot of variety, and they are also inexpensive, but they also can be expensive. So the only thing is that you have to get used to the heat. In Singapore, almost anytime that you go, it's going to be hot. It's going to be humid. And so walking 20 minutes is not the same in Singapore as it is in an example, Vancouver. You'd be like drenched in sweat if you're walking 30 minutes in Singapore. So just kind of taking into account, especially people that are not used to this kind of climate, this kind of more tropical type climate with lots of humidity and heat. It's, you have to plan for that. And perhaps in other countries where you say you would walk around more or you take the MTR, in Singapore, it really is hot. So you might have to kind of shorten your days or maybe take taxis or rather than walk sometimes. Let's get to my experiences. And again, I'll have some of these in the comment section, links to the videos that I've had, and maybe some at the end of this video. So where to stay? Actually, all the hotels that I stayed at were quite good in terms of the quality. The people are very polite, so you don't get a lot of rudeness. You do get a little bit of coldness, so they're not the same. They're polite and they're friendly, but not in the same way that we in North America see it. It's more very professional sometimes. So that's what I found with some of the hotels. But all of them were very good. The one I really recommend is Marina Bay Sands, and I'll talk a little bit about that as an attraction too. But if you have the chance, it is pricey, but if you do have the means, it's a wonderful stay. It's not just a hotel, it's a resort. So that would be my top pick if you had to do a hotel. The Four Seasons, I really enjoyed also, and I have videos to all of these on my channel. It's very close to Orchard Road. It has a kind of a walkway, so you don't have to walk outside. So I like that also. We stayed at the JW Marriott, which is also very convenient. It's near the Merlion, which I'll talk about a little bit later, and the Raffles Hotel. And then also when we left, we stayed at the airport, Crown Plaza at Changi Airport, which is actually quite a nice hotel, and particularly if you like planes, they've got runway views, and so that would also be a nice place to go. I did stay at the Shangri-La Singapore, had a disappointing experience, but not bad. I wouldn't say bad, but you know, considering the price, I thought it would be better. And so that is kind of an older style hotel. But if you really have the means, then I would actually contemplate a stay at Raffles Hotel, which is unbelievable, iconic hotel. And also the other hotel I would look at is the Fullerton Bay Hotel, which is again a wonderful hotel. I haven't stayed there, but I've seen pictures, and if I had the means, I would probably stay there also. Let's talk about attractions. So a couple of must-dos I would say is Gardens by the Bay, and in particular their Garden Rhapsody. It's free. It happens every night, I think twice a night. It's a kind of a light show with music. It's kind of wonderful. The actual Gardens by the Bay, from my perspective, it's actually a wonderful place to go. You don't really have to go in. If you have the means, you can go in to their different things, their flower dome, their cloud forest. They have a walkway, but I don't think it's necessary. You know, I went to the flower dome. It was okay. I think it's great to take pictures, but if you know you want to save some money, I don't think you really have to actually pay for any of that. Just walking around the Gardens by the Bay and the Garden Rhapsody, I think it's really great. Another free attraction is to walk to the Merlion, which is the kind of the lion symbol of Singapore, where there's a kind of a waterfall. That's free, and there's a bridge that goes across that, and that whole area is very nice. It is very hot, but it's a really nice area to walk. You can take great pictures of all the sites in Singapore, including the Marina Bay Sands Hotel. And so that's all free that you can do in Singapore. Then there is the Marina Bay Sands Hotel. And again, it's not just a hotel, it's a resort. So there's lots to do there, especially if you have young kids. I think there's a science center there also that's really good that I didn't go to. But every night they have a kind of a light show called Spectra. It's a light and water show. That's free. They have a promenade. They have a huge kind of complex with restaurants and shops. That's all free for you to walk around in. Inside the mall, they have these Taipan rides, which are similar to the gondola rides in Vegas that you have to pay for, but I'm going to give you a kind of a tip that you can do that for free. So those are things that I would do, definitely. Marina Bay Sands is a casino also, but the casinos in at least Asia, particularly Singapore and Macau, they're a little more serious. It's not like Vegas. And so unless you really want to go in there and you're an avid gambler, I don't think you really need to go in there. If you enjoy gambling, that's great. Go in for the experience, but you're not missing anything if you're not gambling. So there's lots of other things to do at the Marina Bay Sands. I will say that there's a huge advantage of being a guest at the Marina Bay Sands. It is pricey, but what you can get as a guest is that you get access to the infinity pool, which is the largest infinity pool in the world. It sits on top of the 3 towers, so you're 57 floors above, and it's just a magnificent sight. It's only for hotel guests, and that whole area, that whole promenade, is only for hotel guests. Tourists can go up to that level, but they can't access the pool. Likewise, there's another viewing section that you can view at the other end of the Marina Bay Sands near Tower 3, and that also normally you would have to pay admission, whereas with a hotel guest you don't. So if you are a hotel guest at the Marina Bay Sands, I would recommend getting a garden view room. That's what we had. The reason being is garden view rooms have balconies. I think City View and Harbor View don't. And so it's nice to have that outdoor space. The second thing is got a beautiful view of the Gardens by the Bay show every night. So you can see that from your room, and it's wonderful. The last thing I would recommend doing is leaving either enough time before you stay or leave Singapore to go to the Jewel and the Changsha Airport. So this is a structure like none other that I've seen in the world. So I know airports are magnificent, but this is a completely different level. The Jewel is kind of almost like a separate mall right near the airport, and it's got this huge rain vortex, which looks like just a bunch of waterfall, like a waterfall. It's like 6 stories high. It's magnificent, and at night there's a 15-minute show with lights and music. So if you're there at night, you can do that. If you're just doing a transit, you can still go over there if you have a couple of hours. It's the great place to stay, and actually they have lots of great restaurants. All the Singaporean restaurants or the franchises that you want to see in the city, most of them are actually at the Jewel. So there's also lots of kids activities there. You could spend a whole day there. And in fact, I stayed a night at the Changsha, the Crowne Plaza there. Really nice hotel room like that. And I don't know if I would do that again, but it's not worthwhile. But definitely you want to leave enough time if you're in Singapore. If you have a stopover, maybe like 4 or 5 hours, there will be no shortage of things you can do at the Jewel to kind of take up your time. This is my number 1 tip for people visiting Singapore, which is going to save you a lot of money. When you're at the Marina Bay Sands, there's a tourist exclusive offer. So what it allows you to do is you go to there's 3 different counters. One is at the shops, one is the lobby of the Hotel Tower 1, and one is near the sampan rides. So if you go to those centers and you show them your passport, you will enjoy a free 3-month upgrade to the Sands Rewards Lifestyle Prestige card. And people say, I don't gamble. You don't need to gamble. But what that does automatically, which gives you 2 complimentary tickets to the digital light canvas, the Sky Park Observation Deck, which is what I talked about. This is the Sky Observation Deck is where hotel guests can go up there for free, and the sampan rides. If you get this in the morning, go and book your reservation for the sampan ride ASAP, because it fills up very quickly. It's not just you can show up 10 minutes before you want to go. You get 1 for 1 for the Art Science Museum, 15% on Sands Theater show tickets, and 10% on any merchandise in the Art Science Museum shop. You also get a 10% reward dollars at the Sands Hotel. So what that means, particularly great for people that are staying a little bit longer, like the 3 months, and you're going back there often. So let's say you go to a restaurant there and you eat for, you spend $100, you'll get instantly $10 in your account that you can spend freely at other places in the future. So that's kind of an automatic 10% you get. So you get a 15% at the Banyan Tree Spa. So lots of things, but in particular, what I like it for is the complimentary tickets to the digital light canvas, the sky observation decks, and the sampan ride. And I believe you get these complimentary tickets every month. So if you're really there for 3 months, you can get every month you can go to have the sampan ride or go to the Sky Park observation deck. Let's talk about food in Singapore. Again, we talked about the hawker centers. There's a number of them, but you should check before you go or check with your hotel. The hawker centers actually close for cleaning and they go kind of in a cycle. So at any given time, like for instance, when we were there, the most famous hawker center, Newton Hawker Center, was closed for cleaning, unfortunately, but that's life, and there's plenty of hawker centers around if you'd like to eat them. I will let you know that they are outdoors, so it can be hot. The restaurant that I really recommend is a 1-star Michelin called Candlenut. It's in the Dempsey Hill region, and it serves Peranakian food, which is basically food that is got influences from Indonesia and Malaysia and Southeast Asia. So it's kind of a mixture of food, immigrant food that immigrated over to Singapore, but it's a really interesting restaurant, and I highly recommend that restaurant. Other things that I recommend, of course, the Hainanese chicken rice, which you can get almost any place. It's all quite good. And chili crab and pepper crab. The chili crab, it's got a certain spiciness there and a little bit almost like a sourness also, so it's really neat. You have it with these kind of small antaus, which are kind of small buns, and that's pretty popular. We went to a number of places. Our favorite was Justin Flavors of Asia in the Marina Bay Sands Hotel. There's another thing that you can eat called bak kut teh, which is pork that's kind of been braised for many hours, and it's got some medicinal kind of qualities to the soup. So that's fairly unique in Singapore. But the food is really great. You can get Western food, you can get Asian food. The Raffles Hotel has got a very famous bar, which is the Long Bar, which is where the Singapore Sling was created. You can go there. Honestly, I thought the Singapore Sling that was made on my flight to Singapore Airlines was about the same. It's $28, I think, US for a Singapore Sling, but it's something I guess you have to do once in your life. It's, I guess, if you've got the money. If you're not that curious, then you can skip it because it's actually not that it's not that special a drink, but it's a special experience to go to the Long Bar and to the Raffles Hotel. The other thing, as a tourist, if you're staying in a hotel, a lot of times breakfast is included. Don't miss the breakfast. The breakfast is probably going to be your best meal of the day. These are not your North American breakfasts where you just have ham and eggs and whatever. They're, at least in my experience, all of them were like incredible in terms of the variety. They had not only your North American fare, but they had Asian fare, Southeast Asian fare, Chinese fare. It was incredible. You could stay a couple hours easily. Fruits, tropical fruits, desserts, candies. It was noodles. It was incredible in terms of the variety. So really fill up on your day, and then perhaps you can kind of skip lunch. But they were really all the buffets that we had that were included in our stays were all exceptional. I hope this video has been useful, and again, for all the other information, check out all my individual videos on this site and also on my other site, Trophy Food Experiences. Hope you've enjoyed this, and until next time, safe travels.